So, a YouTuber by the name of Deef recently uploaded a video that popped up on my feed that showcased a mod for Ghost Recon Breakpoint that made the game absolutely spectacular. It turned the game into first person, basically it's changing the entire way how a person played the game, making it more interactive, making it more challenging. Now, personally, stealth action adventure games are some of my favorite to play. However, there are not that many of them on the market. And with that being said, Ghost Recon has often been a go to, especially for those in the genre who love the genre. But there's something about Ghost Recon Wildlands that was so much different from Breakpoint. And that was just simply the fact that I could play it by myself whenever I wanted. It was one of those games that you were pretty much could just do anything at any time without a care less. You simply tapped on the WXE and you were straight in the game. But that wasn't the case with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Ghost Recon Breakpoint was an online only DRM game, which meant that you needed an online connection to play it, even if you just wanted to play by yourself. Now, personally, I wouldn't have issues for a game like this if it was simply marketed as that game from begin with. The issue with Ghost Recon Breakpoint is that it wasn't a game like Destiny, it wasn't a game like, let's say, The Division, or a game like even, I don't know, too many live service games going around. But it was the type of game that I really looked forward to because it was a very unique experience. The only games I can really think about to give you an experience like Ghost Recon would be maybe something like Metal Gear Solid, and we haven't seen a good entry in that game ever since 2015. And so it was very off-putting for me when I found out that this was an online-only game, especially at a time where data caps and a good internet connection wasn't necessarily the most available for me. So now that I have better internet and I have, adult grown young man money, I bought the game for a measly $12 and I've been playing it ever since, and I've been having a spectacular time with this game. But I can't help but keep at the back of my mind the fact that this game one day will never be playable. And just simply to the fact that the online DRM is a feature needed to play this game. You cannot play this game if you're not playing online with an online connection. I mean, you can play it offline, but you cannot play it unless you have an online connection. And this is something I really do not like seeing, especially in games that have a single player component specifically meant for you to play by yourself. Simply because that this pretty much erases the legacy of the game, or it puts it on a finite shelf, to be more correct. The fact that a game can get released and you buy it, spend your hard-earned money. However, it's a game that is not going to be there in the future when you try and play it again. It's kind of an off-putting feeling, especially as someone who was old enough to see the PS1 and PS2 era of games at their late stages. I was always really fond of the idea that when you played a PS2 game, you could simply just take a disc, put it in your console, and 99% of the time it worked. Unless you had to scratch the disc and then you'd be stuck with those little whirly thingies or whatever. But when it came to the PS4 and PS5 generation of games, it's just been a simple headache to play them. I mean, to be fair, games don't even fit on CDs anymore or on Blu-ray disc because they're mostly above 50 gigabytes these days. But that still doesn't excuse the fact that we're trending towards a way where games are becoming more and more less consumer friendly as a product customers actually own. Games are starting to be treated more like content for a streaming service like Netflix than they are actually being treated as singular pieces of interactive entertainment. When I think of games, especially that I really, really love, this is going to sound weird, but Call of Duty 2019 is one of my favorite games of all time. And it's not my favorite game of all time because it's a simple Call of Duty and the movement's fun, quick twitch, none of that nonsense. I love Call of Duty 2019, one, because of the greedy grounded storytelling it has, the moral gray areas that it tries to delve into. For all the, criticisms that we give video game developers and video game writers especially, certain games do actually try. Now, obviously, I'm not saying it's any Baldur's Gate 3 of anything, so please do not jump in my comments telling me I do not know what quality video game storytelling is. I'm just talking about simply from a person who likes bombastic action, military, spy, spec ops type of storylines. I really enjoyed Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 storyline. But with that being said, Call of Duty 2019 is on a finite shelf. Meaning, if Activision Blizzard wants to shut down the servers for Call of Duty 2019 like we saw them do for Warzone 1, Call of Duty 2019 will cease to exist. There will be no person able to play that game ever, simply because without an online connection, none of the features of that game work. Not the campaign, not the spec ops. You can't even play multiplayer with bots. And this isn't just for that game. It's Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. Now, Modern Warfare series in Call of Duty right now is in the shape that, I'm sure the rest of the internet is talking about. And that's usually the conversation when it comes to Call of Duty. But what I'm truly worried about, especially when it comes to this new generation of gaming, is the fact that we're headed towards a trend where people are not going to be able to own their games. And this is especially startling when games are becoming more expensive. The price of things overall, especially in the world, are not going down. Inflation is up, and the cost of living is about to increase now that wages are increasing, simply because that's just the way the economy works. But with something like the video game industry and how video games are presented as interactive forms of entertainment that are bought and sold at singular times, to the sustenance of the content, and as well as the sustenance of the subsequent DLC or further content. To know that you could be buying a game, spend upwards of $100 on it, on a game something like Destiny, right? And know that you could spend that money, get the content, and that content, by the way, is only limited, right? It only works if you have an online connection, meaning you could spend $60 on the DLC for your favorite game. But if your game is an online-only DRM type of game, even if it's a campaign-focused game, you could be stuck in a Diablo 3 situation, just being plain with you. So it brings this, uneasy feeling for me about the future of the gaming, especially when you look at the big publishers who are currently can go around. And as much as we love our indie developers and our AA games, guys like, the guys who made Radio or Not, I can't, put their name in my head, for example, right now. But that's a AA game and it's did extremely well. And it's first person, very milsim police. And it's doing extremely well as a AA game from an independent studio. But that being said, you have this larger independent but just larger publications, this Fortune 500 companies that can come and buy out these smaller independent studios. They can buy them out. They can buy their technologies that they can using, make them prices higher. We already saw that what one of the CEO of Unity tried to do recently. And for me, I'm just worried that there can be the malpractice in gaming and the gaming industry is just gonna eat up and just swallow gaming as a whole if nothing's done about it. If nothing is done to preserve the artistic integrity of what gaming actually is. It's why that I support games like Baldur's Gate 3. Even if I'm not going to buy it myself or play it, I still will tell people who like turn-based strategy games, go buy Baldur's Gate 3. Go support a gaming studio that, is giving people feature-complete games. No stupid DRM. Is giving people, hours worth of content, quality voice acting. Like, when massive groups of people are all celebrating just a game literally being good, like, think about it. Baldur's Gate 3 is being celebrated not because it's done anything like so innovative. It's just being celebrated because it's a game that promises to deliver on what it says it'll deliver, and it delivers more. Because in the end, when it comes to anything to do with the history of games or games as we know it, or even the things that we do, games are a form not just of media, but they're a sentimental experience that brings communities together. I mean, I don't know how many times I can tell you the simple fact that Mario Smash Bros was available, that I made a bunch of friends with a bunch of cool, nerdy ass kids who were really cool. And they ended up becoming really good friends of mine, and they really ended up helping me out in different ways. That's what gaming does. It brings humanity together. And frankly, I just wish more Fortune 500 companies would see that. Holding on to their artistic integrity, holding on to the history of a lot of games is not just something to do simply because you people want these things for whole money. It's something to do because everything we create, whether it's good or it's bad, it's a part of history. It's a part of our history, not just as gamers, not just as developers, not just as people who even like media entertainment. It's part of our history as humanity. It's one of the things that no other species can ever say they do. No other species can ever say they have the ability for creation the way mankind does, or interactivity and experiencing different worlds. Video games is a wholly unique human experience that no other known entity has. And I think it's an amazing thing that we should cherish every single part of. Anyway, I don't know, that sounds a little sentimental or whatever, but if you think it's, a little simpy, a little sad boys me or whatever, just let me know. Besides that, subscribe, don't subscribe, dislike, diss me. It is what it is. The comment section there for you to actually tell me how you feel. And seriously, tell me how you feel. Anyway, subscribe, and thanks for watching.